Okay, we are continuing with the Pachad Yitzchok and Mamar Alef. I will refer everybody to the earlier installments so that we don't have a staccato effect, because these are things that it's very, very hard without a constant presence of mind to, and the train of thought. So we're going to pick up from paragraph Chet in Perek Bet in the first Mamar. Okay, remember we're talking about the ability for Shabbat to bring in a new face that halachically is enough for us to celebrate the Sheva Brachot of a Chatan and Kala without the presence of a new individual that hasn't celebrated yet. Okay, and we were talking about Dat, and how Dat and the creation of man on the sixth day is what allows us to appreciate Shabbat, because that is what makes, from the perspective of Dat, it puts into proper order the importance of that which only existed during the 6 days becomes now a secondary to its true essence, which is only revealed on Shabbat, and the ability to understand that and make that real is the witnessing of the dat of this happening on Shabbos. And we compared that, we talked about this, right? That's the Torah of the Gra, that the Gra says that the real shvisa of Shabbos is that HaKadosh Baruch Hu, when he is mechadish b'tuva b'chol yom tamid, he constantly renews existence. He constantly emanates existence, right, and being. So that which happens on Shabbos actually is prepared before on Friday, meaning that it's not that Hashem doesn't do on Shabbos what he does during the week, but that its importance shifts, and that's what we call the shvisa. And our mashal that we keep on coming back to, how das is what facilitates this, is the idea of carrying of food in a vessel on Shabbos, Hotzah, and since the food itself is not enough of a size to obligate you, right? Mm-hmm. But the vessel that you're carrying it in is the proper size. It doesn't matter because you did not carry it out, the vessel, for the vessel, but rather for the food, and therefore we see that dat is what determines reality. Okay, so now let's pick up on Perek Chet. Okay, unechonim anu achshav. Now we are prepared. Lilmod tuvtam v'dat, to understand with excellent reasoning and understanding. B'divrei chachamim, the words of our sages, shepirshu birchata shel Shabbat, that they commented or explained in the blessing of Shabbos, shebaruchu b'ma'or panav shel adam. So Chazal say that what is the bracha of Shabbos? It was blessed with the illumination of the face of man. Where do you see the blessing of Shabbos? With this illumination that man's face experiences on Shabbos. Meaning Shabbos brings with it an illumination of the face, the true face of Adam. Meaning we're talking about the Adam of creation that we have. Meaning Adam Arishan himself, Naaseh Adam, and the introduction of Das, that's what shines forth from the face as a manifestation of the bracha on Shabbos. That is what Chazal say. Okay? So l'chora yesh kan miut hadamot b'berchata shel Shabbos. The Pachad Yitzchok is saying, if you look at how Chazal explain what the true blessing of Shabbos is, that seems to be a lessening of the blessing of Shabbos. You want to say, right? It says in Ma'aseh Bereishis, right, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu blessed Shabbos, right? And actually, in other Mamar, we're going to say Rashi says the bracha was that the man, right? No, that's the kiddush. What's the bracha? Okay, we're going to talk about the neshama yisera, and we're going to talk about the man. But those are in other Mamar and Be'ezrat Hashem. But over here, Chazal is saying, where do you see the bracha? What is the bracha of Shabbos? That a man's face shines. And the Pachad Yitzchok says that seems like a lessening. It's very beautiful. It's very quaint. That's the bracha of Shabbos. Ki halo habracha kefi shehi mefureshet b'Torah nemra beklalit. Because is it not that the blessing of Shabbos, as expressed in the Torah, is said in a very general way, in a much greater way? U'ma'or panav shel adam harehu prat. And when Chazal say, and you know where you see the blessing is in the shining of somebody's face, that is a detail. That's a very small thing in the world. Right? The Torah says that God blessed it. That's a blessing, meaning in all aspects of Shabbos it's blessed. And Chazal saying the blessing's in how people shine. Okay, so this needs to be understood. And if this is true, Nimtza, it turns out, ki chachamim tzimtzimu, the rabbis, our sages, they constrained, they limited at klalut klalioteha shel habracha, the generality, the extension of the blessing, lehofa pratit, to a very, very minor representation, a specific manifestation. Ella shehem hem advar. And the Pachad Yitzchok is saying, rather, that's the point. Hapanim, that's actually what's going on here. Hapanim, the face, hem hamakom hayichidi, they are the only place, b'chol gufo shel adam, in the whole body of a man, asher bo nikeret, that through it is recognized, hi b'mida yadua, hitbatlut chamriyuta shel haguf, legabe ora shel hadat. The face is the locale where you see how a human being has limited the control or the materiality of their being in their body, and it has been limited vis-a-vis the light of their dat. Meaning, where a person's face, looking at a person's face, you see their dat, which is over their body. Meaning, a body is a person's physical being. It's their vehicle, right? How they move around, right? And a person's being is made very material by the presence of their body, because you got your body and you got your mind, right? And your mind is the ethereal part of you. But on the face, you see how much a person is in touch with that higher aspect, that it overcomes the materiality of their body. It's where they're refined and where they're more spiritual. So shining forth on your face is where you see dat, the dat of the person.
So it's basically the continuation of the idea of the Shabbat, that the food makes the plate betul. Because, so the face...
You see a human being, you identify them from their body, from their physical presence, and yet when you see on their face the dat, that meaning their dat, to the degree that they have dat, their dat is the higher thing than their body. That's their true presence, right? That's the Shabbos on the 6 days of the week. Right. Meaning if they have enough dat, right, the dat hopefully should nullify the body, because the dat is really what's important. So for example, the vessel is very, very large and very heavy, and that is big enough that if you would carry it from a private domain to a public domain on Shabbos, that would obligate you. You did hotzah. But the vessel is not what's important to you. The vessel, you're carrying the food in the vessel, and the food's not big enough. So your dat, since your dat determines that what's important to you is the food here, so the vessel, it becomes batal. That's what we said in the mashal, right?
Yeah.
So really, the presence of dat here shows that really what a human being is, those higher aspects, and that the presence of dat, or the manifestation of dat, is what quiets the presence of the body back into the background.
Right, it's a mirror of the world and Shabbat, because we said the Shabbat is the nefesh of the world.
Right.
And so you're making
there's a neshama yetera in the person, there's the neshama of the world which is being present, and now all of a sudden, in that context, Shabbos, a person has an extra light, so we're going to say, meaning it's activated, meaning what you really see and how a person manifests is on the level of das. What's really happening on Shabbos is all on the level of das. Okay? So you would think what the rabbis are saying, there's just a small aspect of a person's being that manifests Shabbos, but no, that is the aspect that shows, meaning it's the small that now overcomes the large. We're showing what's really important.
Right.
And it's not about small and large, it's really about what's truly important, what's ikar, what is primary and what is secondary.
Right.
Okay, hapanim, the face, hem hamakom yichidi, they are the only locale, b'chol gufo shel adam, in the actual physical body of a man, asher bo nikeres, that through that face, it is recognized to the degree that his b'mida yadua, in a known measure, hitpatlut chamriyuta shel haguf, the nullification of the materiality of the body, legabe, vis-a-vis, ora shel hadat, the illumination of dat. Ki halo chachmat adam ta'ir panav. Chazal say that the wisdom of a person illuminates their face. V'nimtza, you ever look at pictures of tzaddikim? It's amazing. It even shows up on camera.
There's even a science called a Torah called Torah Panim.
Oh no, that's Chachmat HaParzuf.
Chachmat Parzuf.
Yeah, that's the physiognomy, the traditions of physiognomy, right, where they try to determine based on the external shapes of a person's hand, like palm reading or whatever, what the person's tchunot hanefesh are. But the Mikubalim actually, meaning the tzaddikim through Ruach HaKodesh, actually they divine, meaning they don't look at the physical body and try to understand what the spirituality behind it is. They just pick up on where a person is spiritually. A person projects
from his face. Yeah,
from his face. On his forehead, there are certain signs about certain. A person can do certain things that it shows up on their face. They can do good things that project from their face. Their dat, their level of dat, which is also meaning their connection their fusion of the higher worlds and the lower worlds, which is a function of their yesod, and the shmira of the covenant is also how much dat they have. And somebody who has dat is keyed in on the level of dat. Your dat picks up dat. The more dat you have. So the tzaddikim are operating on those levels. And what's amazing is a simple person like me can even see, sometimes you look at a person, they have a hadrat panim. And it's beyond, I mean, you could try to capture it. I mean, it comes across, but it's ethereal. There's a light, there's a presence. Okay, v'nimsa de lafi erech hatarbut hisrabut, and it turns out that according to the quality of the ribui, the making more of the what's the word in English when something becomes more? It's mitrabe. It becomes
multiply.
Yeah, but it more in terms of meaning
intensify.
Yeah, okay. Koach hadat, the faculty of dat. V'ham atato, or its lessening, meaning the dat being magnified or being lessened, ba b'mida yigdal or yaktin ziv apanim. Through the dat being magnified or not, that is the measure of the illumination of a person's face will either be multiplied or lessened. Meaning there's a direct almost physical, it's not physical, but there's a direct manifestation of a person's dat through their face. Ziv hapanim na'asehu al yedei zeh, the illumination of the face, the splendor, the glow of the face is made through zeh shahadat mazricha, that his dat is shines forth, is projected, betokef, with strength, with virility, at kavei ora, its rays of light, ad kedei kach, to the point where shehem bokim, they cut through et habasar gidim va'atzamot, the flesh, the sinews, and the bones shalaguf, of the physical materiality of the body. Meaning they're so powerful that they're not contained by the physicality of the guf. Vikarnim agabe ha'or, and they shine forth on top of his skin, of his leather.
It's an aura, like, isn't it?
Yeah, but auras, you got to be able to see auras to see auras. And I don't know, people can see auras also. It has nothing to do with their spiritual refinement. It seems that some people can see them, some people can't. I'm not sure how it works. It's a physical thing.
But you're saying that this is something that everybody can see.
This is something spiritual.
Spiritual that everybody sees.
Yeah, meaning the more refined, meaning an aura, somebody, I don't think it has to do with how developed a person is spiritually, who can see auras to see auras. They can do it, but this is something.
But what he's saying, this shining of the face,
this is spiritual shining.
Everybody should be able to see.
No, I'm saying to the degree that you're spiritual, you'll be. But it definitely. He's saying it happens, right? It does. Hamakom hayichidi baguf, the only locale on the body, hamusar tatzmo, that gives itself over, lipkiat hadat, for the cutting through, the shining forth, the penetration of dat, hu hanikra panim, it's called panim. Your face is called panim. What does panim mean? We use panim to mean a face, but really it means panim, that which is internal. I mean, why is it that the face is where something shines through that's internal? Because it's designed to reflect, to show, to project what's inside. Right? We define what is inside the person based on, this is the theater, right, that acts out what's going on inside. So panim is the place, it's the locale on the body that spiritual ziv shines through. I'm sorry, the light of his dat. Ulechein, and therefore zacha makom zeh lihikareh b'shem panim, and therefore this locale on the body it merited to be called panim. Mipnei, because shenikeret bo, because it is recognized through it, hitbatlut hachitzoniut, the nullification of externality, legabe hapnimiyut, vis-a-vis the internality. It is the place, even the panim itself, even though it's an external part of the body, it is batal to the pnim. That's the place where the pnim, the internality, can project forth. Okay? How are we doing for time? Okay, we got enough time to finish this paragraph. Okay. Vihitbatlut chomer, and the nullification of materiality, chomer haguf, the materiality of the body, legabe or hadat, vis-a-vis the light of his dat. Hitbatlut zo, this nullification, he sewed, that is the secret, haziv, of the splendorous shine, hanimshach al panim, that spreads forth from the face. Ziv zeh, this shine, me'id hu, it testifies, ki haguf nitpal hu etzel hadat, that a body is secondary to one's dat. It's exactly like we're saying. The week becomes batel to Shabbos, right? It becomes secondary. Once you have that shine, meaning Shabbos comes, all of a sudden everybody's activated. And their dot now has a extra level of manifestation in the world. And that shows that their goof is not really who they are. Okay? So it's the recognized extra level of dat on Shabbos that testifies that dat is really primary to the body that you've been living with. The manifestation has been primarily the body during the 6 days of the week, and all of a sudden it's revealed that there's something even deep within that now gets its moment to shine. Okay? And the dat, the faculty of dat, is formatted or arranged in its relationship to the body as a status of primary vis-a-vis secondary. And through this we stand al kocha shel shvitat Shabbos, through the strength of the resting on Shabbos, b'yitzirat ma'or panav shel adam. The resting of Shabbos is what creates the illumination of the face of man. Shvisas Shabbos, the resting on Shabbos, he giloi, that is a revelation of the koach hadat, the power of dat, livkoa, to cut through at gufo shel olam, to cut through the body of the world, b'chtei la'amor al ora, in order that its light can be stood and related. It can be related to. It can be seen.
Somebody who doesn't keep Shabbat,
you don't have that revelation.
Have that glow.
Yeah, exactly. That's what makes that shift possible in the revelation of the primary stuff that makes all the other stuff secondary. Okay, somebody who lived without Shabbos never had a moment of dat. That his dat became primary and overcame its mifor, that he's living that, right? Shvitat Shabbos, he giloi koach hadat. The resting on Shabbos is the revelation of the power of the dat, livkoa to olam hateva, to cut through the world of nature, shel imrod bereshis, of the statements, the utterances of creation, b'chtei levatlo, in order to nullify them, el or Torah, to the light of Torah, of the dibrot of Sinai. Right? This goes back to what we're talking about. Okay, remember, we said that there's 10 and there's 10. There's the 10 utterances of creation and the 10 statements of Matan Torah. And the 10 statements of Matan Torah are like the neshama of the 10 statements of the creation of the world. Because the 10 statements of the creation of the world were to create the world. But really, why was the world created? Really, for the revelation of the... So each of the 10 statements of the Torah is the living, right? It's the or, it's the neshama behind those 10 statements. And we would never know that till Sinai came around. Right? So what we're saying, it's the same formula. It's the same discussion, right? We're saying that Olam HaTeva, you come into a world, and on the first week of creation, or till Shabbos, it looks like, the big things that are happening on the world is creation of the world, but that's just revealing the building of the world, which is physical. We don't know what really is giving that life force, what the purpose is, what it's all about, how it's getting its vitality. And then all of a sudden on Shabbos, all that stuff is dwarfed by an inner dimension that suddenly reveals itself. Shabbos is a medium that through shvita, through resting, you have something that's always there that all of a sudden reveals itself and then shifts the balance. And all of a sudden it becomes primary and it's a revelation. That's the revelation, we'll call that, of the Torah, that's Mechayeh, of the 10 the 10 statements by Har Sinai that are giving life really to the 10 utterances of creation.
Yeah,
the world is just there to facilitate Torah.
Yeah, I'd like to say the following, that, we one of the big questions for man is the purpose of man. What is my purpose in this world? And each one has a specific purpose. And it would be nice to say, I want to check it with you, that to get the clarity of one's purpose of life, you'd have to keep Shabbat, would allow you to get that clarity on your personal life. Because it's all about...
It's a very beautiful way to say it, because Shabbat is really your Yom Shekulo Shabbat. Remember, Shabbos here is a taste of when the whole project reaches its completion, which is the whole story of human history, which is us ultimately benefiting of the relationship with God that we built here, right? And that's what we call Kabbalat Schar. In a lot of Mamar, he talks about how Shabbos is the manifestation of Schar. Right? And the true ability to be Makabel Schar, meaning that the things that you do in this world actually amount to something which amount to a sublime connection to God. So that's also very personal. He talks about the personal schar and the general schar, and also how to perfect Shabbos. There's the era of general schar, La'atid Lavo, after Mashiach comes, when everybody's all elevated as one. And then there's, in the interim, when people end their personal journey here on earth, they wait and they have a lesser Kabbalah schar where they're disembodied souls in Gan Eden. And he talks about they both actually give practical application to Shabbat. They're both reflecting Shabbos. But basically, man has a role. And we could talk about the general role, and then there's the individual, how he sees himself in that. So a person comes to this world, and they have to be mechaye. By being mechaye the Torah, they're giving life to the physical utterances, right? You're keeping the Torah, you're giving life to the utterances of creation, right? And that you're being mechaye the world, and you're uplifting, like we were talking about in the Alshech, you're causing shefa to flow continually because you're being mekayim the Torah in yourself, which is a microcosm of creation, because you incorporate all those elements in you, and therefore all that habitat also gets chiyut from, right? So now a person has a personal goof. Everybody has a different goof, and therefore a different neshama. So that's a general context, but a person can see also, personally, you can apply that. And in Shabbos, if a person doesn't experience Shabbos, he doesn't have that relationship between his neshama and his body, and how his neshama is meant to actualize in the world of his personal body or his personal physical situation, meaning the olam hazeh, olam haba. So, that would be a very interesting kind of exercise, meaning a person relating to Shabbos more would be a key into relating to himself more, relating to his own personal mission and how he's meant individually, uniquely, personally, to be part of this great story. That's a beautiful ha'ara. Okay, that's a great selling point also, like a focus, to give people to how to approach their Shabbos. Okay. So let's just finish the paragraph here.